Okay, people, so now it's October 1st, I think. And as you can see, I'm starting to box this stuff up. Now I'm going to take some tissue paper and I'm going to wrap them, obviously, so it doesn't, clang in there, right? And then I'm going to put it away. But look how nice everything's fitting in there so far. I'm pretty impressed.
Really nice.
Right? Yeah, except for this jar. This jar is going to be a little harder. And but I can put that one somewhere else. And then there's other things I can put in there to fill up this box, right? So in the meantime, Andre and I, all we've been doing is collecting black walnuts, right? And I did some husks here last night. You can see the trays because I'm still going for this stuff, people. Now, I was talking to my son last night, who's very intelligent, gone to college, has done a lot of medical stuff, science, that type of stuff, right?
These ones.
Yeah, those ones. That's a what?
Black walnut.
That's a black walnut, that's right. And the other one is an English walnut. So anyway, he was telling me, because, he asked me about my finger, right? And I showed him, and, I told him, right, what was going on. And he goes, yeah, it's like, black walnut is like an acid. And I'm like, well, that's funny that you should say that, because when I went to the hospital, that's what the, intake nurse was saying, like, you were washing with something with acid. And I'm like, no, I was washing walnut husks and the walnut shell off, taking the husk off the walnut shell, right, in the water with gloves that were leaking. And so anyway, it's kind of boiling down to where this is kind of like an acid more so than a healing agent, because it can cause great damage if it's left on for too long. Now, my thought on that is, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I'm sure there's some truth with the influx of random immigrants from impoverished countries from all over the world. Nothing in Pacific, right? Some of them are coming in with leprosy, and it's resistant to the medications to cure it, right? So I'm thinking in my head, well, that might work. If I'm not a scientist, that type of thing, but I said to my son, see, here's the key. I said to my son, yes, in some ways it's an acid. I agree, because we've seen what it did to my hand. I'm afraid to show you my hand, people. I'll get a, what do you call that? Age restriction. So anyway, it's called gaslighting. It's done so that you will doubt yourself. That's why they do it, people. They want me to doubt myself. But besides that point, I said to my son, I said, you're right. It has an acid type tendencies, but it also has a healing tendency. Different lighting here. And oh my God. Is this even working, people? You heard the screen flap. Like, seriously, I can't even get these things. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, I'm just going to pick up where I left off, assuming this screen doesn't flap. Okay, so I was talking to my son about how I personally, myself, feel about this agent that I'm coming into contact with, because there's a product in there that I want, right? And I'm trying to understand the properties of the agent. Okay, in my mind, that's what I'm doing. So as I'm working with it, I'm injuring my hand as I normally do, with different various things. But if you notice, this is healing quite nicely. And that's what I said to my son. Yes, it can damage the skin, but it also seems to speed up the healing process. And not only does it speed up the healing process, but I don't know, it like this here, this little thing, where is it? Right here, this one right here. It's a little callus, kind of wore it down. Maybe I got a prickle in there at one point when I was doing blackberries. But, my hand is much smoother. And yes, it takes off the layer of the skin, the surface layer, which my son said, this is my son's debate on his side. Well, that's you, Mom, that's you healing. Has nothing to do with the black walnut and its properties. It's to do with you and your immune system. And I don't know, people, you know, like I said, over the years, you've seen me do lots of stuff, right? I'm always nicking my hands. And I just find that, you know, I do believe that, one, it could be a cure to leprosy if they're having a problem with it becoming, you know, resistant to antibiotics. I think this is powerful enough to combat areas where it would pop up on the skin, I would say. I don't know how it lives in the bloodstream, leprosy, but if it's just a skin thing, this could be a remedy. And not only is it a remedy to kill things, but in my honest opinion, it is a remedy to heal things. Because I do believe, since working with it, my hands are healing faster, even though at some point they're being destroyed through the, you know, leaving it on for too long, like in here in that case. But the healing process has been quite fast. And I don't contribute it necessarily to my immune system. Oh, here goes the screen. So let's see if we can get it back and talk about the salmon. I've got the camera pointed towards the salmon. I can only assume that this is still recording because I've done the salmon. That right there is the salmon jerky. I like it. Oh, there we go. I like it. It's tasty. It's almost like beef, not quite. So I will be eating it along with others. And then this one here is for personal use. Now, in regards to black walnut being an acid.
An English walnut.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about the English walnut's husk. I'm strictly talking about the black walnut husk. He said, my son, who's gone to college and university and has studied these things, right? He said to me, well, you know, Mom, sometimes people, they get caught up in their own beliefs and blah, 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 blah. And he gave me an example of somebody that was doing something on a kind of a ritual basis, hoping for an end result that, in all practicality, isn't practical. Okay? So, in this case, if you're using it for your teeth, and now that we've determined that it's acid base, in terms that it can eat at things, maybe where the wives' tale comes in terms of walnut will remove cavities, is true. Because my son said, well, if you're using it for your teeth, oh, there goes the screen. If you're using it for your teeth, then it's eating at the tooth itself. Right? There we go. I can see now. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the point. It eats away the cavity, right? But he also reminded me that it would eat the rest of your tooth, the enamel, right? And I'm like, well, my teeth are already going to be falling out pretty soon. And I showed him, right? So, there's a debate, I would say. There's no, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. All I know is this is not ink. Whether you would use it as an antibiotic or an antifungal or, you know, something in the event of a disaster and you had no access to medicine because the hospital was depleted, I would think that this is something that you would want to have around right along with baking soda. Because my son said, well, why don't you use baking soda on your teeth? And I said, I've done that, but it does the same thing. It will erode eventually, you know, the tooth enamel, and but it doesn't seem to correct the problem. But for me, it's root canals and all that other stuff. So anyway, we have it on hand, right? So it's there. I was going to put it in a separate location and probably not think about it for a long time. I may or may not still try it on my teeth. I haven't really had time to give it a fair chance. I've only done it once and it wasn't that bad. So, and I've got nothing to lose anyway, because they're going to just, one day I'll be walking down the street and they're just going to fall out. You know, that's pretty much what it's coming down to. So, and then in terms of walnuts, we got a lot of walnuts here. We got all that. I'm afraid to move, people. And then once I get this other stuff off the table, I'm going to get my little vacuum seal thing, and I'm going to break them up into 1 or 2 cup, probably 2 cup packages, or 1 cup. I can do a 1 cup and a 2 cup, right? And then just freeze them, right? And then they'll last longer. And then when you need them, you just go grab whatever you think you need, a 1 cup or a 2 cup, right? So I'm pretty pleased with that. We've got over, oh, how many shells did we get?
You got what?
Yeah, I already forgot count, people. It was like almost 2,000 of these things down here, right? There's another bag, right? Because 4 and 4 and 4, and then 2 and 2, right? And then there's these ones yet. These ones are hard to open. Oh, there goes the camera. Did you hear it? Is it even working? Oh, I can't see. There we go. So these ones are hard to open, and I don't want to smash them, right? Because I want the shells. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upload this now, because I got a couple of other little clips in there, right? I'm kind of busy. I don't have a lot of time. There's the salmon that I canned. So this is good for me, because now my kids can actually, my middle daughter really likes the salmon, so I'm going to give her some, right? And my son, and we'll just use these ones up faster because the fish was frozen. But now it's more edible, right? It's more edible in terms of in one big package and opening it up and having to have a big meal. You know, this is more practical. They can eat this as they go, and I don't need it in storage because I already have some. So there you go. I think I've done pretty good in terms of art supplies. Oh, is this camera working? In terms of art supplies, here we go. Food, medicines, in the event of, right, paints, and seeds. Okay, I'm going to upload this now. So we might as well upload this after this next one that's being converted gets uploaded. In reference to, we've got 8 views now. And another thumbs down. Again, this is being done on purpose through fake user accounts, with YouTube enabling it and quite possibly wanting it to happen, because it certainly seems staged. Okay, so we're just documenting here how somebody took out that little English walnut tree that somehow...
Well, actually, we found it right here.
Yeah. Well, right here where the hole is. There's the hole. You can see the hole, people. They dug it right up.
I'll show you.
And there's, oh yeah, there's parts of the tree. Isn't it? That's part of it. Just came in here and ravaged the ground and dug up the English
it's all
walnut.
dried up.
Yeah. So there's the acorn, right? There's the holly, but the walnut disappeared. Okay, so we're back at the walnut tree. Okay. Trying to... Andre, can you just move out of the way for now while I do this? Move out. Anyway, there we go. That's what we want. I'm gonna try and paint that. Right, hold on. Man, I didn't turn this off yet. And then we're going to do it from this way. Let's see. Can I see? I think it's still recording. So where's this? Yeah. Where's the stump? Right there.
That here. What's that?
So hard to do this.
Can we go home now?
Yeah.
Huh? I don't need that.
So September 28, 2016. 2 views. YouTube fake user accounts.
I'll use them.
Right? Just uploaded it. 1 view is mine, people. The other view is a fake user account. That's exactly what it is. YouTube's political agenda to disenfranchise their clientele that can't produce hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad revenue. Okay, so now I'm doing the salmon jerky. I'm going to use, so far, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do about a 1/4 cup of brown, light brown packed sugar, right? It's packed, 1/4 cup. I've got some light soy sauce. If I want, I got some dark there. I got some pepper. I have some molasses. I have a little bit of hickory smoke. And I have a bit of lemon juice. So I'm going to put that all in there, mix it up. Maybe a tablespoon of that, a tablespoon of that. You know, 3 or 4 tablespoons of that. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I have to see how the brown sugar responds to it. And then, as you can see, these sealed. Everything's nice. The only thing is, before I did it, and I did the jars, this one here has a little chip, but it's still sealed. But I'm going to have the kids open this up, and we'll make like a, we're going to eat this one first. And we'll be able to taste it too, right? But other than that, everything looks good, sealed well. Hold on. Okay, so the marinade is extremely good, and it's extremely simple. All I did is I took a tablespoon there, you can see it. I put about a tablespoon of molasses. I put a 1/2 cup of brown sugar in. I'm sorry, with the light soy sauce, a half of that 1/4 cup. I put it in there. I put 1 tablespoon of lemon juice in there. I put maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of the hickory smoke in there, and it's so good. So all I'm going to do now is just crack some pepper in there, and then I'm going to pour it over this, shake it around a bit, and put it in the fridge for a few hours, and then I'm going to put it in the dehydrator, and I bet you my kids will gobble this up. But in the meantime, I have to mention that my camera is like seriously on its last legs. When I plug it in to upload the videos onto the computer, I can't access the program to connect to the computer because just the whole, you know, the integrated parts within the camera is just... So, I don't know if this is a waste of time or if I'm going to be able to upload this, but I will try to upload this, so hold on. Okay, so as you can see, that little bit that I made works great for this tray. And to be honest with you, I have like 3 more pieces of fish. I should do 2 more and do another tray, because I think once this is done, my kids are going to really like it. Okay, so there, I did a second tray, and it wasn't a 1/4 cup of brown sugar packed, it was a 1/3 actually. And I just sprinkled a little extra pepper here, right, on top of this. This is so good. This is a time when I wish I could make the crackers now. But I just don't have the available space at this point, right? So, as the fish is marinating, we'll just go through some numbers here in terms of thumbs down. 9, 8, 6, 7, 19, 17, 11, 12, 15, 13, 13, and 12. 24 views, 12 thumbs down. And I can tell you people, the majority of people, if not all of them, not including multiple user accounts, are white. This is what white people would do, for the most part, right? Africans, they're not interested in this kind of stuff. Punjabis, they're not interested in this kind of stuff. Chinese people, they're not interested in this kind of stuff. It's white people that like to grab the non-profit books and run off with them, mix them all up, right? Throw everything back in a bag, keep them hostage for about 5 months, and then throw them back at you, right? Because there's something wrong with us. I'm not saying all of us, but people like the Duncan clan and a lot of these union workers that work for, governments, whether they're provincial or, municipal or whatever it is. For some reason, they seem to think, I don't know what they think. They just think that they're so much better than everybody else. And this is what they do. And this is just, like I said, another Marnie. Right? Just a Marnie. That's all it is, just a Marnie. Or Alice Wright. Okay, so now it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here. I had a little nap. So this has been marinating. I have the other tray, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn them around, put them in the liquid, right? You can see that. And then I'm going to put them on clean trays, and I'm going to dehydrate them, right? You can see that. Okay, so assuming that this camera is still working, because to try and log into the computer with it, with the screen, is getting difficult now, so I can maybe be recording, but might not be able to upload onto the computer. So besides that point, if you notice the liquid here, for the first batch, there's not very much left. So the fish absorbed a fair amount in terms of sitting and marinating. And it's been recommended that you spray your trays a little bit with this can oil. I don't normally use it, but I have some, right? So I did that. And except for the bottom tray. The bottom tray is a solid tray so that it can collect the liquid if it drips, right? So I've got 2 more trays or so to go, and we'll be back. Okay, so this is the second tray. It has slightly more pepper, as you can see, right? And your strips shouldn't be any more than 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, right? So try and keep them uniform. And because you're dealing with meat, make sure that there's some space between everything, right? And since I only gave a little bit of sprinkle on top of this, the top layer, right, of the salmon with the extra pepper, I'm moving the salmon onto the tray with the pepper side facing up, and then after it's on the tray, I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera around, people. Anyway, I take a spoon, right, and scoop up a little bit of the juice and pour it directly over top of it so that the pepper stays. It doesn't get lost in the liquid, But in light of how much liquid I used, again, there's not that much left. And being that it takes a while to make this stuff, you kind of want to take the little extra time, right? Just so that you get that flavor. So again, September 29th, 2016, more YouTube harassment in partnership with a hate website. Get off my internet, right? Get off my internet needs their readership in order to look at their ads. And YouTube needs a little test site so that they can bring in their age restrictions and all this other stuff that they're trying to do, right, at the hands of out of control troll network that harasses people for months and years on end. It doesn't stop, right, because they can just go and carry it over to another website and continue their bashing and gang stalking and hate fest, right? So anyway, YouTube turning into a hate website, age restricted today, people, right? 11 thumbs down. Like I said, those videos that I showed you in this one, none of them are age restricted. Twerking is not age restricted. The pole dancing is not age restricted. None of that is restricted. But they came in and they restricted mine, trying to say that somehow mine was sexual. There it is, right there. Right? They're using that. If the video contains nudity, pornography, or other sexually provocative content. Okay. So all of a sudden, my little video that's educational in nature, telling people what YouTube is turning out to be about in terms of their gang stalking and cyber harassment, because this is related to YouTube now, people. Yes, Duncan Clan started it. Fraser Health was an instigator of it, right? Because like I said, none of this didn't happen until Uncle John went missing. As soon as Uncle John went missing, the trolls came marching in. It's a distraction. That's what it is. I put the information out there so that the public knows what's happening to people, so that the public knows what's happening to families, so the public knows what's happening to children, so the public knows what's happening to the young people, the youth, the teenagers, innocent lives, so the public knows what's happening to the elderly who have assets, so the public knows what's happening to the elderly who don't have assets. We have a two-tier healthcare system, people. And the ones with assets get medically kidnapped at some point when they're old, and they get doped up, put into a diaper, and stuffed into these care homes because they have the money to pay for them. And that is what props up the healthcare system as they bring in an immigration workforce, the government and the unions, to do their dirty work in terms of enabling it to continue to happen. The governments are not even educating their own people in their own countries. Instead, what they're doing is they're bringing in drugs and just flushing out the indigenous born Canadians and Americans and selling off the property to people overseas. Those properties sit empty, and we have a new wave refugees crises in our own countries as the elderly are being medically kidnapped by this immigration workforce under the leadership of the unions to prop up the healthcare system, because it's the old people, the baby boomers, who have the money to pay for these facilities. Not everything is subsidized. If it was subsidized, people, there would be no homeless people. But the homeless numbers are growing. That's what happened to Uncle John. He's just the tip of the iceberg.